Good morning, students. Here we start with the embryology lecture of development of midgut. So, therefore, in the development of midgut, we start with first point. In the first point itself, we draw this diagram, very simple. Basically, this is the umbilical vesicle connect the vitellointestinal duct, and then here we are having the foregut, midgut and hindgut. So this is the initial starting point of the development of midgut before the head and tail fold. This we are very well equipped with. We know that here this structure will be umbilical vesicle, then vitellointestinal duct, then this portion over here is the midgut, here this will be the foregut and this will be the hindgut. Therefore, here this two lines which we have drawn, they are known as the anterior and posterior intestinal portal, where anterior intestinal portal will demarcate the foregut from midgut and posterior intestinal portal will demarcate midgut from hindgut. So initially, before the head and tail folds, the entire midgut will be in the form of a straight tube with its cephalic end having foregut and caudal end having hindgut. And ventrally it is connected by vitellointestinal duct to umbilical vesicle. This is the starting point of the development of midgut. This is the dorsal boundary. Now dorsally, the entire midgut will be suspended by the primitive dorsal mesentery. So if I draw over here, this will be the primitive dorsal mesentery. And this primitive dorsal mesentery will suspend or will attach the dorsal border of the entire gut tube with that of the posterior abdominal wall. So here, if I draw this primitive dorsal mesentery in this way, and at the same time, this primitive dorsal mesentery will have the artery. First of all, we have seen there will be presence of dorsal aorta. The dorsal aorta is present dorsal to the entire gut tube. Now from this dorsal aorta, various branches will pass into the foregut, midgut, hindgut, out of which the branch which will supply the midgut, this branch which will supply the midgut this branch will be known as superior mesenteric artery. So therefore this superior mesenteric artery is the artery of midgut. Similarly, celiac artery will be the artery of foregut. So therefore this superior mesenteric artery will supply the midgut from the dorsal aorta, but it will pass through the primitive dorsal mesentery. So therefore this is the first stage in the development of midgut, and here superior mesenteric artery. Now what will happen? After this stage, there will be the development of midgut loop. The midgut will enlarge in such a way that initially after this stage, it will develop into a U-shaped loop. Now, to understand the U-shaped loop, once again, after this diagram, we are going to draw another diagram, and for that diagram, I will just create some space over here in which we are going to show the entire midgut loop. So therefore, it is basically a U-shaped midgut loop. It is basically a U-shaped midgut loop in which this U-shaped midgut loop will have a ventral convexity. So therefore, with a ventral convexity, carefully if we draw, this is how the entire loop has to be drawn. And here we start with, this is the foregut. Once again, this is the midgut loop. This is the midgut loop, and then this will be hindgut. So therefore, we consider this as the midgut loop having this ventral convexity. Now this is the ventral convexity and this is the dorsal concavity. Similarly, there will be attachment of, in the dorsal concavity, there will be the attachment of primitive dorsal mesentery. So therefore, I will draw this primitive dorsal mesentery. So this is how the primitive dorsal mesentery will be attached to the entire dorsal border of the gut tube. Primitive dorsal mesentery to the dorsal border of the gut tube. What is ventrally? Ventrally, the entire midgut is having a ventral convex loop. Now here, one point you should always be clear. Ventral border, ventral convexity of the midgut will not have any attachment. So therefore, this ventral border of the midgut will not have any ventral mesentery like attachment. Or the foregut will have a ventral mesentery like attachment which is known as ventral mesogastrium. Whereas in case of the midgut, it is devoid of having any ventral mesentery like attachment. Now, next point. This midgut loop here will show here that the entire midgut will have the superior mesenteric artery as we had drawn in the previous diagram. So now the superior mesenteric artery will travel, we show the superior mesenteric artery which will travel right through the central axis in this way. And therefore, this is how you draw the superior mesenteric artery, and exactly at the midpoint of the ventral convex loop. But this superior mesenteric artery is traveling from the primitive dorsal mesentery. Please note down. So therefore, we are going to note down this as primitive dorsal mesentery, and we are going to name this as the superior mesenteric artery. After drawing these structures further, this superior mesenteric artery, as it is coming from dorsal aorta, passing from primitive dorsal mesentery, going right up to the dorsal concavity, exactly in the midpoint of the dorsal concavity of the midgut here, it will divide the entire midgut, the U-shaped loop which has been developed right now, U-shaped loop, it will divide it into the structures which are present above and the structures which are present below the axis of superior mesenteric artery. So therefore, the portion of midgut where my hand is there, above this superior mesenteric artery will be known as prearterial segment. So here we will name this as the prearterial segment of midgut, and the portion where my hand is there, which comes below the superior mesenteric artery, is called post-arterial segment. So here I will name this as post-arterial segment of midgut loop. So therefore, now you have to mention the entire U-shaped midgut which has developed right now will have prearterial segment above the superior mesenteric artery, from which the following structures will develop. So what are the structures that will develop from prearterial segment? I will write this as pre, and I will mention this as post. So the structures that develop from prearterial segment of midgut loop here, please mention lower part of duodenum below the hepatopancreatic ampulla or hepatopancreatic bud. So therefore, below the hepatopancreatic bud, the portion of duodenum which lies below the hepatopancreatic bud will develop from prearterial segment of midgut loop. Please note down. Second segment which will develop will be the jejunum. So entire jejunum will develop from prearterial segment, and third structure to develop will be most of the ileum. Major part of the ileum will develop from prearterial segment. These are the three structures that will develop from prearterial segment of midgut loop. Now post-arterial segment. From this post-arterial segment, the following structures will develop. What are those structures which will develop from this post-arterial segment of midgut loop? It will lead to development of terminal part of ileum. Please note down, terminal part of ileum. Then it will lead to the development of cecum, and it will lead to development of appendix. Also it will lead to development of, here I am putting this arrow, ascending colon. I put an arrow like this, ascending colon. And it will lead to development of the right 2/3 of transverse colon. So therefore, these are the structures which will develop from the post-arterial segment of the midgut loop. I will repeat once again, terminal part of ileum, then cecum, then appendix, then ascending colon, and then right 2/3 of transverse colon. Now these structures, pre-arterial, post-arterial, they are frequently asked in MCQs, or they are asked in 1 mark question answer. So please note down these structures. It should be very clear in your mind what are the structures that develop from pre-arterial segment and post-arterial segment of loop. Now further, next stage. Where my finger is there, post-arterial segment. Here, in the 6th week of development, there will be formation of sickle bud. So please draw this as a sickle bud and mention this as sickle bud. So this sickle bud will develop during the 6th week of development from post-arterial segment. From sickle bud, two structures will develop. The proximal part of sickle bud will lead to development of cecum, and the distal part will become narrow and lead to development of appendix. Note down. After this development of the sickle bud, we come to the primitive dorsal mesentery. Very interesting. So in this primitive dorsal mesentery, in the pre-arterial segment of midgut loop, from the dorsal portion, there will be attachment of condensation of this primitive dorsal mesentery only, the condensation of primitive dorsal mesentery only in the form of superior retention band. So there will be a condensation. For example, if I show here, this is the condensation of primitive dorsal mesentery only. But this is condensed to form a band-like structure, and this band-like structure will be known as superior retention band. First we will mark this as superior retention band. This is a very important MCQ 1 mark question answer. Therefore, this superior retention band in future is connecting the duodenojejunal flexure. Remember, this duodenojejunal flexure is developed from the pre-arterial segment of the midgut loop. So the dorsal border of the duodenojejunal flexure will be connected by superior retention band to the dorsal abdominal wall. And what is superior retention band? Nothing. It is a mesenchymal condensation of this primitive dorsal mesentery, where only in the region where it will provide attachment to the dorsal border of duodenojejunal flexure with that of the dorsal abdominal wall. Now comes the important point. Therefore, this superior retention band after fetal stage in adult life, after birth, will be, here I am going to mark, it will be developing into, or it will be developed into the suspensory muscle of duodenum, which is known as ligament of Treitz. So it is known as suspensory muscle of duodenum or ligament of Treitz. 1 mark question answer, MCQ, etc. So superior retention band will be converted, it will be developed into suspensory muscle of duodenum or ligament of Treitz. Where is it attached in adult life? It will be attached to the dorsal border of duodenojejunal flexure. Then we come to this part, post-arterial segment. Now similarly, like superior retention band in the post-arterial segment also, there will be mesenchymal condensation of the primitive dorsal mesentery, and this condensation, if I draw over here, this condensation will be known as the inferior retention band. So I am going to name this as inferior retention band. Now this inferior retention band will suspend the colic flexure. So therefore it will be attached to the dorsal border of the colic flexure. And this inferior retention band will develop into phrenico-colic ligament. So this inferior retention band in future will be developed into the phrenico-colic ligament, suspending the left colic flexure. This is another MCQ, another 1 mark question answer. After understanding this, now what will happen will be in the area outside. Now in the area outside, what we need to draw will be, supposing this is the anterior abdominal wall, what we are showing will be the anterior abdominal wall. This is the outside part, this is the intra-abdominal wall. Intra-abdominal part, extra-abdominal part. Now in the intra-abdominal part, there will be development of the transverse colon. Along with that, there will be development of the liver, kidneys, etc. Now because of the presence of liver and kidneys, for example, here if I show, there will be development of liver in this direction along with the gallbladder. We just draw this liver and gallbladder from the terminal part of foregut, at the junction of foregut and midgut. So because this liver will enlarge in the intra-abdominal segment, along with the liver there will be kidneys also which will enlarge. As they will enlarge, what will happen will be, there will be no space left in the intra-abdominal part. As a result of which, it will be obligatory for the entire midgut loop to herniate outside, to pass outside the abdominal cavity of the fetus, because there is no space left within the abdominal cavity. So the midgut loop will herniate outside the abdominal wall. And where does it herniate? It will herniate in the space which is present around the umbilical cord. Where is umbilical cord? The umbilical cord, if I show, the entire this region has this umbilical cord. Now this portion over here, if I draw here, this is the umbilical cord. So therefore, this entire portion has the umbilical cord. The white color is the umbilical cord. Now, within the umbilical cord, this midgut loop will herniate, and therefore the extra embryonic space which is present in the proximal part of umbilical cord, where my hand is there, this space is called umbilical sac. So therefore, this portion here, you can mark it as umbilical sac. And what is umbilical sac? It is nothing but extra coelomic space, extra embryonic coelom. So it is nothing but extra embryonic coelom which is present where? In the umbilical cord. And in this umbilical sac, the space that is extra embryonic coelom present in umbilical cord, the entire midgut loop will herniate. It will pass outside within this umbilical sac. Now, attached to the apex of the convexity of midgut, where my finger is there, there will be presence of vitellointestinal duct which we had drawn, and this vitellointestinal duct will be connected with umbilical vesicle which I am drawing. So in this way, this vitellointestinal duct and umbilical vesicle are connected. So here, this will be known as, here I am going to mention vitellointestinal duct and umbilical vesicle, which are connected to the apex of the midgut loop, convexity of midgut loop. Very simple, do not complicate. Later on what will happen, this umbilical vesicle and vitellointestinal duct will disappear. They are present attached to the ventral convexity of the midgut loop. Now what has happened, there is umbilical sac where the midgut loop has herniated outside. Therefore, the entire development of the midgut will take place in the umbilical sac, that is extra coelomic space present within the umbilical cord, and further there will be rotation of the midgut loop, and this rotation is a different segment, a different explanation. So now, after this diagram, after understanding umbilical sac and the midgut loop, the last point which we write will be this entire midgut loop, as it has herniated outside in the umbilical sac. This will be known as physiological umbilical hernia. 1 mark question answer MCQ which is asked routinely. What is physiological umbilical hernia? The physiological umbilical hernia, very important 1 mark question MCQ, is nothing but the midgut loop which has herniated outside the abdominal cavity of the fetus into umbilical sac. And what is umbilical sac? Nothing. It is extra-embryonic space, extra-embryonic coelom present within the umbilical cord, within the proximal part of umbilical cord. And this physiological umbilical hernia, which is the midgut loop herniated outside, will remain between 5th week till 10th week. So please note down, this will remain between 5th week and till 10th week. So the time period of physiological umbilical hernia will be from 5th week till 10th week. At 10th week, again the midgut loop will re-enter the abdominal cavity, and therefore the physiological umbilical hernia will close down. So this time period is also very important. Many times it is asked in MCQs also. 5th week, this physiological umbilical hernia will start. It will show its development, and 10th week it will close down because this loop will re-enter back. So here we finish our first segment of the development of midgut. Thank you very much.